Well, then let's get a sense of what the former president means by all he said. He's not going to be part of who becomes president in 2019. That may be new. Let's bring my analyst on the program tonight. Mr. Jiti Ogunye is a regular analyst on the program, and he joins us. He's a lawyer also. Thank you so much, Mr. Ogunye, for your time on the program.
It's my pleasure.
When former President Olusegun Obasanjo says, look, I'm not going to be involved in who becomes president, or I don't even have interest in 2019, what do you make of that?
I take that with a pinch of the salt. From all that is done in recent times, it's obvious that he may not be personally contesting, or he may not wish to personally contest. He says he's a stakeholder. So he has an interest. He wants to shape the outcome of that election. He is giving an advice to the incumbent not to run. So he's supremely interested in who succeed this current president. And he's also keen on who gets what office elsewhere. So he is an active politician. He says he wants to play the role of an elder statesman. And we can decide to take him by what he said, but he's still very active.
I mean, he did say the Coalition for Nigeria movement. It looks like a well planned out because less than 2 weeks after he made that statement, about 13 days after he made that statement, he released that statement, that coalition was launched in Abuja. The following day, he became a member of that coalition. And he did say, look, after that, that the movement is going to culminate into a political party, he will step aside. Is that not enough assurance to say, look, he doesn't want to participate in partisan politics? He has a heart for real change in Nigeria.
No, sure. Let's face this. If he's not said so, what office is President Olusegun Obasanjo, former President Olusegun, going to gun for again? Constitutionally, he cannot even run for the office of the president anymore. So does he want to be a councillor or a state governor? So it's obvious that that's not the kind of office he's going to run for. So we're not using that to assess the question of whether he is involved or not. It's obvious that he can't run for any public office anymore. But he is interested, he is keen on who becomes the next president. He's always been interested.
Is he interested in particular person, or is he interested in the system from your assessment?
President Obasanjo believes, from all he's been saying over time, that he's one of the architects of modern Nigeria. And so he has a duty to help preserve the status quo. As a matter of fact, a person, an eminent personality like him, is not a danger to the system.
Really?
No, he's not. He wants to save the system. He wants to preserve it. So in that way, he's a status quo preserver. This the ideological, standpoint from which you must look at it. Changing personality in a political office does not change that system. His administration during the military era did a lot, in concentrating enormous powers in the hands of the federal government, federal military government. They were taking over schools, universities belonging to state government. So they were doing a lot. Right? And so he's not repented of that.
Really?
He believes that, many of them, military class, they made Nigeria in their own image, so to speak.
So one would thought,
they created so many states, so to speak.
That he's probably one of the most democratic or most repented former military head of state who has seen the light of democracy.
Repented of what?
Of the military ways.
It's not fashionable anymore. Look, historically in this country, the military didn't leave because they became born again. Nigerians forced them to leave. And many Nigerians died in the process. People were killed on the street. Each time I see, for example, Abiola Costello, the daughter of Kudrat Abiola, you know, Ebony with his ever sparkling teeth, I just look at her. She carries on, but her mother was shot dead on the street of Lagos for democracy to exist. So they didn't leave because they wanted to leave. There is no ex-military ruler in Nigeria that wanted to leave. Perhaps the only exception was Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who left in 1979, who didn't want to even be the president.
He was offered in 1982 or thereabouts.
No, who didn't want to be military head of state following the death or assassination of Murtala Muhammad. That's a historical fact. So he had a transition program that Murtala started, and so faithfully he delivered. 1979, he lived. And so if...
Even after Shagari was overthrown, he was offered, you remember? He never wanted.
I'm just coming to one point. So if he left, quote unquote, voluntarily in 1979, why did we have the third term controversy when you have become a civilian? So the point I'm making is that there's no military ruler in Nigeria that wanted to leave voluntarily. Gowon spent 9 years, didn't want to leave until Jogaba came when he was in Kampala attending OAU conference and said Gowon is out. It was the Brigade of Guards. So all of them, Bangladesh didn't want to leave voluntarily. Abacha, of course, died there. And Abdulsalami, you know, looked at the balance of forces and said, no, I'm in a hurry to leave. So we can debate all, but it's not. So when you're talking about people being born again, the fact is that military rule is no longer fashionable.
All right. There's one thing that will give a lot of Nigerians concern. Perhaps lawyers like Mr. Ogunye, a lot of people think that there is some kind of offset within the Nigerian electoral system. Well, it's budding, isn't it? Well, the 2019 elections are nearing. That's for a fact. And the dates for 2019 elections are here, that we know. But can that change? Well, there is a strong possibility if what is happening at the National Assembly in Abuja comes through. The Senate concurred with the House of Representatives on the reordering of the election sequence. The Joint Committee of the National Assembly has agreed on changing the sequence of elections in the 2010 Electoral Act. Members of the committee adopted a position by the House of Representatives which revised the order of the election by fixing the presidential election last as against the current trend. On Tuesday, January 23rd, the House of Representatives voted to change the order of elections by amending the 2010 Electoral Act. Last month, the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, released the timetable and schedule of the 2019 elections, but the ongoing Electoral Act amendment may displace the plans by the umpire. In the revised order, let me show you now again, the National Assembly election will hold first, followed by governorship and state houses of assembly elections, and finally, the presidential election which will come last. That means 3 different weekends or 3 different days of elections. But electoral body INEC had on March 9th, 2017 announced the dates for the 2019 general elections, scheduling the presidential and National Assembly elections first on February 16th. That's going to be the first day, while the governorship and state assembly election will hold 2 weeks later on the 2nd of March 2019. That's the second day. So look at it. The National Assembly electoral amendment process versus what INEC has stipulated. That's going to take our next conversation. Don't go anywhere. It just gets started on the program, everyone. Join us again.